You know what they say, there's always a first time, and as an immigrant, you probably have a lot of firsts in the US. So first time eating grits or biscuit, if you're in the South, of course. First time to see and experience snow, if you're in the northern part of the US. And after your first year working as an immigrant or visa holder in the US, there's another first waiting for you. And that is your first time to file your income tax return. So you need to take note of important dates. You can start filing your taxes beginning January 29th and the deadline is April 15th. Don't ever miss that. And the first thing that you need to do is to determine your tax filing status. This will affect your eligibility for certain deductions and credits. You can file as a single, as married filing jointly with your spouse, or married filing separately. You can be the head of the household or a qualifying widow or widower with dependent child. For new immigrants, your status might also be influenced by various factors, including your visa type and your family situation. So when I first filed my income tax, I was on an R1 visa. So I keep talking about that here in my channel. And my wife and my son, they did not have social security numbers. So there was no way for me to include them in my income tax return. It hurt us because the deductions that I was eligible for was 50% less than those who are married filing jointly. Later that year though, thankfully we found the solution after talking to some of our friends, some Filipinos who were in the same boat as us. And so we applied for the Individual Tax Identification Number, or ITIN, for my wife and my son. And then we filed for an amendment of my tax return. So speaking of the ITIN, that is the next video that I will upload in this channel. So stay tuned and subscribe. So you'll need several documents to file your taxes, and this includes your social security number. You also need to prepare your W-2 form from your employer if you're employed. If you have self-employment income, you will also need the 1099 form. And these forms are generally sent to you at the beginning of the year, around January up to January 31st. And then if you have paid any taxes throughout the year, you also need to keep records of those and have them ready. And you need to provide documentation of eligible deductions and credits. These will lower your tax burden. That's good news. We will talk about those later in this video. For first-time filers, such as yourself, using tax software like TurboTax or OLT.com will definitely simplify the process. Both of these software will offer you guided instructions. It will be on the screen, ensuring that you don't miss any steps or potential deductions. Plus, it can handle various scenarios from simple to complex tax situations. Tax can be complicated and you don't want to make mistakes in the calculation of your taxes. I mean, if you're like me, if I see like a lot of numbers, a lot of calculations, my head will definitely explode. So please use software even when you decide to file your taxes by yourself. Speaking of TurboTax, I will also be creating a video showing you how to use TurboTax to file your taxes. So watch out and subscribe. You need to report all of your income, so enter all sources of income as documented in your W-2 or 1099 forms. If you're using TurboTax, the software will guide you in this process. The next step is to claim deductions and credits, and these are essential components of your tax return. This can significantly reduce how much you owe to the IRS, and it can increase your refund. And in a nutshell, the refund is the amount of money that you will receive back because you paid too much to the IRS, or your employer has withheld more funds, more money than is needed to pay for your tax for the previous year. So deductions lower your taxable income, meaning you're taxed on a smaller portion of your earnings. And there are two types of deductions. The first one is the standard deductions, and the other one is the itemized deductions. As a first-time filer, you'll choose the one that gives you the largest tax benefit, of course. So the standard deduction for the 2023 tax year, this amounts to 13,850 for single filers and 27,700 for married couples filing jointly. This amount is adjusted annually for inflation. Now, when it comes to itemized deductions, these include specific expenses you've incurred throughout the year. So this could be your medical and dental expenses exceeding 7.5% of your adjusted gross income. State and local taxes that you pay up to 10,000 US dollars. And if you own your home, you can deduct your mortgage interest and also your charitable donations, like if you're giving your tithes and offerings to your church or you're making contributions to a nonprofit organization. And if the total of these deductions exceeds your standard deduction, itemizing can save you more on taxes. Credits, on the other hand, are more beneficial than deductions because they reduce your tax bill dollar for dollar. So here are a few credits that you might apply for. The Earned Income Tax Credit. This is aimed at low to moderate income workers, and this can reduce the amount of tax you owe and may provide a refund. But if you earn a lot of money, then you may not qualify for this one. You can also be qualified for the Child Tax Credit, and if you have qualifying children under the age of 17 and they're staying with you, you might be eligible. There are also 2 credits that are related to increasing your skills and pursuing education. The American Opportunity Tax Credit is for those in their first 4 years of higher education. This can cover expenses like tuition, course materials, and fees up to $2,500 per student. Lifetime Learning Credit, or LLC, is not limited to the first 4 years of post-secondary education and can provide up to $2,000 per tax return for tuition and fees. Well, as an immigrant or visa holder, generally only the Earned Income Tax Credit and Child Tax Credit may apply for you. However, if you enroll in a master's degree or a college degree, you may be eligible for the American Opportunity Tax Credit and the Lifetime Learning Credit. Make sure to check that all the information is correct and that you've taken advantage of all the deductions and credits that you qualify for. And the good news is, with tax softwares, they will provide you with a final step. Well, actually before the final step, where you can review all the things that you qualify for before you file your tax. And once you've done the review and you're confident in your tax return, it's time to file. And with most software, you can e-file directly through the platform, and this is faster and more secure than mailing your return. And what happens is, through TurboTax or the other software, they will save and transmit your tax return to the IRS directly, and you will receive confirmation as soon as the IRS has accepted your tax return. And if you're entitled to a refund, it will be sent to you within 21 days after you submit your tax return. And if you do receive your refund, you need to do the right money moves to get you started on the path to financial independence. And I share some tips for that in this video.